Hey, welcome. So, you're getting ready for the IELTS academic exam, right? And you probably know that writing task one, well, it can be seriously intimidating. But what if I told you there's a simple, totally repeatable system to nail a top score, no matter what kind of weird chart they throw at you? Let's dive right in and totally demystify the path to that band 9.
Okay, picture this. You're in the exam, you turn the page, and bam, there it is, a chart. Could be a graph, could be a table, could be some kind of totally bizarre diagram. And for so many of us, that first feeling is just sheer panic. You're thinking, how on earth am I supposed to describe this? Trust me, that feeling is completely normal.
And then you've got the clock ticking down. You only have about 20 minutes to figure out what the data means, plan your entire report, and then actually write it. I mean, talk about a tight turnaround. That's a huge amount of pressure. And in that tiny window of time, you've got to write at least 150 words. But here's a little insider tip. Most of the people scoring a band 9, they're actually writing more, usually somewhere between 170 and 190 words. So it's not just about being fast. You've got to be thorough, too. And this, right here, is where the real stress comes from. You just have no idea what you're going to get. It could be a simple bar chart, or a line graph, a table, a pie chart. Or you could get something trickier, like a process diagram or a map showing changes over time. And sometimes they even throw in a mix of different charts. It just feels like you have to prep for a million different things. So yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? With all that variety and practically no time, how in the world are you supposed to walk into that exam feeling ready and confident for whatever they put in front of you? Well, this is where things get interesting, because there is a secret to cracking this task. It's all about looking at the problem from a totally different angle.
And boom, here it is. This is the big aha moment. This quote says it all. It does not matter how the data is visually represented, it is still just data. Think about that. The chart type, whether it's a bar, a line, a pie, whatever, it's just a distraction. The key thing to realize is that underneath all that visual stuff, it's all just data. You're not describing a picture, you're reporting on information.
The moment that clicks, everything changes. The real secret to a band 9 isn't about becoming an expert on 7 different chart types. No way. It's about mastering one single process that you can use for any of them. So you're probably wondering, okay, what is this magic process? Let's break it down. We'll call it the universal 4-step method. And honestly, it's the only framework you're ever going to need for task 1. And it's so simple. It's just 4 paragraphs, and each one has a very specific job. You've got your introduction, your big picture overview, and then 2 paragraphs to dig into the details. If you follow this structure, you're pretty much guaranteed to have a clear, coherent report that's going to score really well. All right, step 1, the introduction. Your only job here is to rephrase the question. Seriously, that's it. Just say what the chart shows, but in your own words. 1 sentence. Done. Move on. Now, step 2 is the overview. And listen up, because this paragraph is probably the single most important one for getting a high score. This is where you describe the main trends, the big picture. What's the most noticeable stuff happening? But, and this is absolutely crucial, you don't use any numbers here. Not a single one. This is all about the general story the chart is telling. Okay, and then we have steps 3 and 4. These are your 2 detail paragraphs. This is where you finally get to use the numbers. The whole goal here is to logically group the information into 2 separate paragraphs and use key figures from the chart to back up the main trends you already pointed out in your overview. So all this theory is great, right? But let's see how it actually works in practice. We're going to take a real band 9 answer and break it down step by step to see exactly how this framework leads to a top score. Okay, so here's the chart we're going to work with. It's a line graph, and it's showing the stock prices for 4 big tech companies: Facebook, Google, Apple, and Yahoo, over 5 years. And yeah, at first glance, it looks kind of chaotic, right? All those lines going everywhere. But let's see how our framework makes this whole thing super simple. And here we go, a perfect example of step 1. Notice how the writer didn't just copy the question, they paraphrased it. The graph shows turned into the line graph displays. Stock price became stock values. Technology companies became high-tech corporations. See? It's simple, but it's super effective. That's a great opening. Now, check out the step 2 overview. This is where this answer really knocks it out of the park. Look closely. There are 0 numbers in this paragraph.
It is all about the big picture. The writer has perfectly identified the four main stories here. Facebook went up, Yahoo went down, Apple went all over the place, and Google basically stayed flat. It's a flawless summary.
Okay, now for the first detail paragraph. See how smartly they've grouped the data? They took the two companies with the clearest, simplest trends, Facebook, which went up, and Yahoo, which went down, and put them together. They give us the starting number, talk about the trend, and then give the final number. It's just a really clean and logical way to handle that data. And for the last paragraph, step 4, they do the exact same thing with the other two companies. They group the volatile one, Apple, with the super stable one, Google. And once again, they back up their descriptions with key numbers, the highs, the lows, the stable value. It's just a perfect execution of the 4-step framework from start to finish. So, what's the bottom line here? What does this all mean for you when you're practicing? Let's boil it all down to the absolute must-know takeaways. Here's your checklist. Use this every single time you practice a task 1. First, and most importantly, do not panic about the type of chart. Just remember, it's all just data. Second, always use that 4-paragraph structure: intro, overview, detail 1, detail 2. Third, make sure that critical overview paragraph, the one with the main trends and 0 numbers, is your second paragraph. Fourth, always look for a logical way to group your data for those 2 detail paragraphs. And finally, make sure you use specific numbers to support your points in those last 2 paragraphs. Got it? So from now on, whenever you look at a chart, whether it's for IELTS practice or just anywhere in life, don't let all those numbers and lines overwhelm you. Just take a breath and ask yourself one simple question, because this question is the absolute heart of every great Task 1 report. So, what's the main trend? If you can answer that, you are well on your way to a Band 9.